5. Hello and welcome to another tornado outbreak video. This short summary is going to be on the Super Tuesday tornado outbreak, which occurred from February 5th to February 6th, 2008. A small system timeline here before we get onto the overview. On February 4th, a series of low pressures begin to form in the Great Plains. These are surprisingly causing temperatures up to 80 degrees in Alabama, pardon me, as well as 60 Fahrenheit dews in Memphis, Tennessee. Please, please note that this is in February, 80 degrees in February. Granted, Alabama, but still. These series of low pressures soon run into a jet streak, which is a part of the jet stream that is a little bit more powerful than the rest of it. This causes CAPE of well over 1,000 joules per kilogram. Granted, a kilogram of air is a very, very large space of air. Air happens to not weigh that much, but still. The next day, February 5th, a squall develops and the cap surprisingly holds until the afternoon. It was at that time that a tornado watch was issued. After the cap broke around this time, is what I mean to say. High outlook was already issued for the time as well, and just from looking at this, I can kind of tell that it was indeed a squall line. A lot of tornadoes formed after that, as you can imagine. This is an outbreak after all. And this was reduced to a slight risk on February 6th. Our overview, of course. There are a total of 87 confirmed tornadoes during only 15 hours. This outbreak would manage to end the lives of 57, tragically, and injure 425, and inflicted a total of $1.2 billion in damage. All of the 87 tornado tracks are seen here, this biggest photo in the lower right. Some very long tracks, as we can see. Moving on from that, there were a total of 10 intense tornadoes, and half of them are violent. There were 13 tornado watches that were issued, and 2 of them were PDS. PDS stands for a particularly dangerous situation, which happens to be a little bit more dangerous, as you can imagine. A total of 5 separate tornado emergencies were issued as well from this outbreak. There are going to be 7 notables here. The first notable, which we thankfully have a picture of, this tornado, this picture is in the lower right, and the tornado is in the middle left. The New Neely to Highland, Arkansas EF4, a very long track of almost 200 kilometers, 196 kilometers. This tornado tragically killed 13 and injured 139. Tornado measured in at 1.2 kilometers wide, which I believe, if my converters are correct, is 3/4 of a mile. This tornado rapidly intensified to an EF3, which is something that does happen frequently with tornadoes. I've said this before, but tornadoes happen to intensify to the strength that they will stay at for the remainder of their life quite quickly, and also rapidly widen to the width that they'll stay at their entire lives. This is not always the case, as you can see with this example here. This exact notable rapidly intensified to an EF3 and was an EF4. But this tornado managed to directly hit Mountain View, unfortunately, and is the longest tracked Arkansas tornado ever. This thing covered almost the entirety of the state. diagonally at least. The second notable happened in Mississippi, north of Oxford, Mississippi to be exact. This is an EF2. The town of Memphis is circled here. This GIF is wigging out my cursor. Thank you, GIF. Unfortunately, there are no pictures of this tornado that I could find. We do note that this tornado tracked 16.5 kilometers, killed 3 and injured 13, caused considerable, quote considerable, that's what the wiki said, damage to MEM, that is Memphis International Airport, and a Boeing 737 was moved an entire foot. For record, Boeing 737s weigh close to 100,000 pounds. I believe the specifics for the standard model nowadays is 91,000 pounds, which I do not know the conversion for in kilograms, I'm sorry. But for something like an EF2 to be able to do that is pretty damn impressive, I'd say. Our third notable here also this did not happen. Sorry, this one happened north of Oxford. That previous one was Memphis, Tennessee. I am terribly sorry about that. I forgot to change it. So the second notable was Memphis, Tennessee. This notable is the north of Oxford. That is my mistake. This tornado, again, like I said before, happened north of Oxford in Mississippi. This one's an EF3. The one that happened before was the Memphis, Tennessee EF2. That is my mistake. Unfortunately, again, there are no clear pictures of this tornado. I hate it when I cannot find pictures of tornadoes, because I want to be able to see them. What you do know is that this was a relatively short-lived tornado, as it only tracked 11.5 kilometers, and thankfully didn't kill anybody, but did injure 14. Evidently was a very strong wedge, as it destroyed 11 homes and damaged 15 others, and tore up a grand total of 2,500 acres of Holly Springs National Forest. That is at least 2 more than 2,498 acres, and it's a lot more than 2 acres, so you know it's a lot. Notables 4 and 5, because they were from the same family, is the Jackson, Mississippi tornado family, EF3 and 4. The paths are circled here in yellow, and the GIF is the tornado tracks are circled in blue with that GIF, is what I meant to say. Again, no pictures of the tornadoes. I don't know what's up with the Deep South and not taking pictures of tornadoes, man. It happens a lot. But combined, these tornadoes did tragically kill 3 and injure a grand total of 65 people. The EF3 specifically narrowly missed northwest Jackson, which happens to be the most heavily populated part of Jackson, Mississippi. What I mean by narrowly missed specifically is that this EF3 lifted right before then. This EF3 tracked a grand total of 50.1 kilometers. The EF4 practically immediately followed this EF3, thankfully sparing the town of Jackson, and is the third violent tornado to hit Jackson in 10 years. Yes, I said it missed Jackson. It just barely hit the town of Jackson, is what I really mean. The damage photo seen there is relatively clearly either high-end EF3 or EF4 strength damage that you would typically see, again, from an EF4. And thankfully, we do have a quite detailed survey path seen here at the lower left of, I believe this is to be the EF4. Yes, that is. Our sixth notable here happened in Kentucky and Tennessee. Castalian, Tennessee to Tompkinsville, Kentucky. This is an EF3. The GIF showing the cell traveling through the states. Again, no pictures of this tornado. I'm very much so not a fan of this, but did have a very long track of 80 kilometers. In the grand scheme of things, this is indeed a very long track, considering that the true average for a tornado track is less than 10 miles, which I don't know the kilometers for that. I'm sorry. This EF3 did tragically kill 22 and injure nearly 100 people, injured 83. It was described as, quote, it looks like the Lord took a Brillo pad and scrubbed the ground, end quote. Which, with this damage photo here at the lower middle, does look accurate. Our last notable, thankfully, is the Molten to Decatur, or Decatur, Alabama EF4. Again, still no pictures of the tornado, much to my dismay. But we know that it traversed just 0.1 kilometers short of 27 kilometers, managed to injure 23 and tragically kill 4. By the time that this tornado occurred, the squall line had broken up, and this tornado was actually in fact originally scaled as an EF3. Some damage later on was discovered that it was indeed an EF4. The biggest significance here is that this is a very powerful February outbreak, which is typical for Dixie Alley specifically. I found this website, ustornadoes.com, seen there at the lower right of that image, that got me this image. Very thankful that website exists. It still exists. I wouldn't have this image after all. Again, this is in the correct region for a heavy outbreak to occur, but for something this intense is little rare. And the low pressure that caused this outbreak would eventually produce extreme snowfall north around New England. We're talking around 10 to 15 inches of snow. Other than that, that is all that I have for this outbreak. There are many more tornadoes in this outbreak. If you'd like to look at all of them, there's the Wikipedia for it. You just need to look up Super Tuesday outbreak. You're going to get 2 separate ones, I know that. There's this one, and then there's one that happened in March 2020, I believe, but this one is the one.